Hi, I'm Margalit. Today we're going to be making beads out of clay and then turning that into jewelry that you've made yourself. So the first step is, let me go through my materials. I have Sculpey clay, you could also use Fimo clay, basically any clay that you bake in the oven to harden. I have some clay tools, but I'm gonna be honest with you, you can use, you'll see what we're doing, you can be creative with the tools you use. You could even use a lollipop, a wine bottle, you'll see the actions we'll be doing, then you can figure it out. Pipe cleaners or string, if you have like proper jewelry chains, that works too, but I'm just kind of using what is around the house because I'm in quarantine right now. When you're watching this, you might be in quarantine, but if not, you'll have access to more materials. A oven-proof metal or glass baking container, and some tape if you need. Okay, so let's get started with the beads. The first most simple technique is to take a piece of clay, whatever size you want, and I'm just gonna roll it around in my palm until it's maybe like a ball. And then I'm gonna take one of my clay tools and I'm just gonna poke a hole through the bead, make sure that hole goes all the way through. Maybe I'll reform it so it's a little more flat. And here, that's a bead. Pretty much any shape that you sculpt out of this material with a hole in it is a bead. So you can get very creative. This is kind of the most basic. If you were to make a bunch of colors in just this style, I think that would look great. I'm gonna show you another cool thing you can do. Maybe I'm gonna take a little bit of this purple, and then maybe I'm gonna take a little bit of this lighter purple, and I'll just kind of mash it together in a way where I'm not blending it so it becomes one color. I'm more so tie-dye, making a cool little tie-dye pattern where it's all, it's like marbled, like I'm trying to make a granite stone. And before it's fully mixed, I'm gonna do that same motion again, where I roll it in my palms, and then once again, maybe I'll use my lollipop this time, be a little less professional, and just, yeah, make another little hole. And you want these holes to be big enough that in case your clay shrinks in the oven, you can still thread it. So there you go. We have another kind of marble bead. Now,
I like that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's cute. So another little technique you can use is I've taken another piece of clay, I'm rolling it so it's a little bit more of like a spaghetti shape, like a noodle. And instead of making a hole by puncturing it, I'm just going to bend the top and squish this together so that this is where you would thread it. So maybe it's a necklace, maybe it's an earring. And then at the bottom, you can do whatever you want. Maybe you roll it back up like this. And now, once I've rolled up that little tail, now we kind of have this nice surface like a pendant. So maybe you want to sculpt on top of that, which I'll show you in my baked beads.
You know what you could do? You could do like a music note.
A music note, a flower, a peace sign, a heart, initials. This is really just a starting point, and from here you can do anything. So the next step, once you have all your beads, take your time, have fun with the colors, is you're gonna bake it. The box will tell you that for 1/4 of an inch, for every 1/4 of an inch thick piece of clay, you'd bake it at 275 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15 minutes. I say keep it at 250. Every 10 minutes, check on it. And once it kind of hardens up and it loses its sheen, it becomes a little bit more matte, that's when you know. So these are some that I did earlier. Here's
oh my God.
You like that?
I would love that.
Okay, so little pro tip, Another thing you could actually do is cover these in clear nail polish so there's a little bit more gloss, and they also become a little bit less fragile that way. So maybe you have pipe cleaners at home. That's a fun way to kind of use these beads. And what I like about the pipe cleaners is after you thread your beads, you can kind of create a clasp that goes on and off. So let me just show you what I've done here. Without any fancy jewelry material, I've just bent this side while this one is kind of twisted around. And now I can take it on and off. Okay, now if you're using something like yarn, and maybe and another thing, if you've made a lot of beads and you're gonna be doing a lot of beading, I would suggest maybe taping the bottom of this so that when you're stringing it, it doesn't just fall off the end. So let's say you're using your yarn and you're just gonna string it through.
You did it.
Yeah. Okay. And so already you can see.
Beautiful.
And so with the yarn, where it's not really easy to open and close it, I would just make a knot and make sure that it's large enough to take over your head. I have a pretty small head, so that's not much of a problem for me.
I got a big head.
You do have a big head. There you go. Yeah, there's your bead necklace, and it's nice because you made it yourself. And I hope you guys experiment and have fun. And remember to keep the holes in the bead pretty big so that if you're using a string like yarn, the hole is thick enough to thread through without giving you too much trouble. All right, thanks.